Hello, everyone. Happy Monday. I don't normally go live on a Monday, but I want to introduce everyone to one of our new group sponsors here in the Interior Design Business Forum. And if you're watching live on LinkedIn or YouTube or on my Facebook business page, go on YouTube and like and subscribe so you get notification of when we go live in the future. And of course, always like and comment on our videos. So today I want to welcome Masha Quinn of Content Vertical. Masha is a copywriter. Now, Masha, a lot of people don't know what a copywriter is. So how do you explain it in layman's terms to people?
Sounds good. Well, thank you so much for having me here, first of all, Nancy, and happy to be here. So a copywriter, essentially, I write words. My signature service is website copy, but I write words and help people and specifically interior designers stand out through compelling copy. So connecting their words to what their audience resonates with. So it's
Perfectly
essentially
said.
words.
It's words. You write words to help them get
Copy,
clients.
content, messaging. There's so many terms. Like I know not a lot of people use copywriting terms, so I refer to it as messaging, message, copywriting, content.
Love it. Okay, so today we're going to specifically talk about mastering website copy to attract their ideal client. We see a lot of mistakes in this. I know I do with my clients.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's there's so many mistakes and there are some common ones. And yeah, happy to jump in and just talk about all of those. And maybe we'll start with the importance of website copy because one of the biggest mistakes that we probably see is when interior designers just use their photos of their beautiful work and no messaging, no words at all.
Yes, yes. Okay, so let's go first, the importance of website copy.
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously, very, very important, and not just for SEO reason, because SEO is one of the first things that people would think about, at least my clients. But it's extremely important because website copy is your opportunity to communicate your brand voice and brand tone. And that's essentially your personality, the personality of your brand, something that helps you stand out in this very competitive market. And it's up to you how you want to communicate with your audience. Your brand tone could be sophisticated, elevated, elegant, or it could be something like conversational, informal. So really it's your opportunity to stand out and you choose to do that, and through proper messaging, that's how you do it. So that's just one of the reasons. Another reason is to showcase your credibility and expertise. That's a big one. People do business with who they trust, and through words we can help build trust and connect to your audience. And then, like I said, it's SEO. SEO is critical. It's not going to go anywhere. So you need words to go with your beautiful imagery.
Right. And for those of you who don't know what SEO is, even though it might be the rare person, it's search engine optimization. How does someone go up to their computer, Google interior designer in their area, and do they come up with you? And then do they come up with you based on what they're looking for as as a client for an interior designer? So let's talk about how important it is to really identify your ideal client so that you can talk directly to them.
Yeah, so the first place where we would start is know your audience. Do you know your audience? And I know it's such an obvious thing to say, well, we know our audience, but it's really understanding, getting to know them and understanding what are they like? What do they like? What do they not like? The things that they want in their space. When you're an interior designer, the things they envision in their space, their pain points, things that they're embarrassed about. It's so important to truly know and understand your audience, and not to overlook the obvious aspect of that. So I always recommend there are like a couple of places or a couple of ways you can really get to know your audience. So for example, your intake questionnaire, that can probably give you a lot of insights when if you do have an intake questionnaire, which I'm sure you do as an interior designer, when your prospects fill it out, you pick up on various insights about what they like. So create an avatar. I know that's the advice that a lot of people give to interior designers. Create that avatar. And we're not just talking about like demographics, how old they are and, male, female, family, but really understanding that extra level of audience insights. What do they like and pain points? So one way to look into it, intake questionnaire. Then you also look at the process, like how you work with your clients throughout that entire project. I'm sure they have questions. So jot them down, like see if there is a pattern of questions they come up with, that these are the frequently asked questions.
Yes.
Typically, these are really great questions to cover on your website, because the goal of your website is not just to communicate, what your brand is or how you help, but also anticipate people's questions. So that's why it's so important. And then social media, like look in the comments section. That's such like, there's like a gold mine of audience insights, not just in your own social media channels, but even in your competitors or other interior designers
Yeah.
that you follow and like. You look in there, and it's not just admiration of work, but it's also typically like the little questions that are so important and so telling.
It's so true because, like in my group, the Interior Design Business Forum, which is one of the places we're streaming now, we can go down and look at what people are asking and what they're struggling with. And then we can turn that into messaging and lessons and things like that. And the designers should be doing the same thing with their social media, hopping into interior design Facebook groups or things like that and figuring out what are people struggling with if that person seems to be their ideal client also. But I just want to point something out. We can sit there and go, what do our clients need from us and how should we message to them? But we also have to remind your first point, which is it has to be in the tone of who we really are, not trying to make ourselves into someone we're not, because then when you're working with those people who were attracted to you, you're not going to work well with them. It's not going to be your ideal client.
Yeah, exactly. That's why it's important. None of my copywriting projects start without really understanding your audience and clearly articulating the brand voice of my clients, because the copy is just not going to resonate. That's where we start. Every single copywriting project for website copy starts with that. Okay, let's first of all understand how you want to be seen by your audience. Who do you want to attract? And then really understand your audience and matching that language, that tone, that voice to the language of your ideal clients. That match is so important because, if you're talking to everyone, that's saying, I can't remember. If you're talking
to everyone, you're talking to no one.
Yeah, exactly. So that's very accurate. Yeah.
What people may not realize is that you work for a lot of web designers.
Yes, absolutely. Well, I work with a lot of web designers. These are my referral partners, but these are also the people that send me traffic and I send them clients. So, yeah.
Right. So my point is that when you hire a web designer, they don't always do the copy at a copywriting level. They may make some suggestions based on their experience, but they're not copywriters. They're not word writers by nature. They're tech people who create websites.
Absolutely. And they have their own strength. And I work with, Teresa, your own Teresa. And, I work with web designers that truly understand, the visual aspect of the brand, the user experience, which is extremely important. But I also work with designers that truly understand the value of copywriting, putting the proper words. And like you said, they can provide suggestions, but going in depth on, what messaging to put and where, because it's not just what to put on your website. And we can get into this topic more in depth in other lives, but it's like the hierarchy of information. What goes first? What goes next? Like what captures attention first? What should be secondary? These are all important aspects. And I guess a copywriter or somebody whose day job is writing copy, they would know all those nuances.
And then they can actually use the words that are created on their website, the tone, and carry it over to their social media.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. So talk to me about a strong call to action for a designer.
Call to action, probably one of the most overlooked things on a website, because we're basically, when we don't use a call to action, which is essentially the button of the action that you want to take, that you want your audience to take, we assume that they know what we want them to do. But we shouldn't assume that. We should always guide them. It's like a part, like your website is like a party and you're the host. You need to tell them, you need to guide their behavior. Like, what do you want them to do next? Is it subscribe to your newsletter? Is it, to reach out, press the contact button? Is it to schedule a consultation? And the trick that I would recommend you apply is create a bit of copy, like a bit of, just a bit of copy, literally a couple of lines before the button, to actually guide people. Here's what I want you to do next. And don't assume that they would know, because confusion, there's another quote, of course, I can't remember it right now, but like confused mind doesn't really decide anything. So it's like, so you absolutely have to guide them in terms of what you want, what actions you want them to take next.
I remember this lesson really well from a friend of mine when I started to become a speaker. And if you look at your website as if that's what people are looking at right now, I'm up on stage. They're looking at me. I'm delivering a message like your website is delivering a message. She said, please never forget to tell somebody how to work with you moving forward, because she was watching. She was at a conference and there were 3 speakers. The first speaker at the end said, and if you want my book, this is how you get it. The second speaker said, if you want to work with me, this is how you do it. Go to your phone, da, da, da. They all had these little tricks. The third speaker just said, thank you very much at the end, and walked off the stage. And that was the woman that she connected with the most and wanted to know how to work with that woman. And the woman gave no call to action. Yeah. So when I became a speaker, she's like, please never forget to tell people how to work with you, right? Just like we do on these lives. Like if you want to get a copyright consultation with Masha, go to the link that we put in the description, right? To fill out your content form and tell them what you're doing through that content form.
I think people don't do that because they think they may come across salesy.
I know.
But that's just simplicity. You have to let people know, and you have to make it simple. You have to make it very easy for people to connect with you. Because if it's like, well, there's like a bunch of things that you can go, there's a bunch of options, I can do this, they're going to be confused. They're not going to know, do you want, like, if we're talking about a website, do you want me to now look at your About Us page? Do you want me to get to know your process? What do you want me to do? And your homepage, that's how I usually refer to it, is like a gateway to the rest of your website. Your homepage needs to have like, okay, a little bit about you, a little bit about your service, a little bit about your process. And it has to be immediately clear where I, as a prospective customer, should go next.
Yeah, it's so funny when you get another set of eyes looking at things. I mean, we've written letters not written by you, ones we wrote ourselves, and then people would come back and go, but what do I do next if I'm interested? And we're like, oops, we forgot to put a call to action.
Right. And that's for everything, right? It's not just the website. Like you said, it's in the letter, it's an email, it's everywhere. There has to be like a thing that you end with, like, what is the next step? And in the copywriting world, like one of the rules of thumb that like big copywriting gurus say, that every line of your copy is essentially has to move you to the next step. Your headline should move you to the next step. Then the next section should move you to the next step, slowly moving you down the funnel to that, to that ideal result that you want them to achieve.
Right. So it does sound easy, I feel like sometimes, but it's not easy to do at all.
No.
To get it right, to get the balance right. Oh, hi, Robin. Okay, so in the description of this live, if you open up the full description, I hope it doesn't stop playing when I do this. Okay, I'm still okay. It says, please follow this link to grant permission for me to see your comments. And it's a Be Live link. So everybody go, click that link. Be Live is not going to steal your information. They're not going to start sending you emails. It's literally just so inside the group, my group, the Interior Design Business Forum, I can see who's making comments because otherwise it looks like this, just so everybody knows. It says Facebook user. Now I know that's Robin because I looked on my Facebook on my other screen, but I can't see it's Robin unless she hits the link. So Robin, hit the link for me. The next time you make a comment, we can actually see it's you.
That's so funny. We were just talking about it.
I know we were just talking about this. Nobody knows where that link is. Be Live puts that link in automatically when I go live, but it's at the bottom of the description. I wish it was at the top, but anyway, anything we missed, Masha, that you want people to know about copywriting, and how do they find you to get some help with their website copy?
Yeah, and I'll make sure to end with how they can find me. But a couple of more important things is your differentiator, aka your secret sauce, your value proposition. That's very critical on your website. It should be front and center on your homepage, how it is that you're different. And it could be your niche. Not every designer has a niche, but it could be a niche. It could be the types of projects that you like working on. It could be a process. Process is actually one of my favorite ways, the way designers can differentiate themselves. Because when you think about it, all interior designers have similar process. I can say the same thing about copywriters. We all have a similar process, but it's such an untapped territory, and this is such such a great way to differentiate yourself. I had an interior designer that I was working with, and she had this awesome process where a lot of clients would come to her, homeowners, and the things that they would say about the place, like their space, the vision for their space, would be so different from the pictures that they would send her. And there was this disconnect. Well, here are my inspiration pictures. I want this for my space. Yet the way they would describe their vision was so different. So she created this amazing it's a very simple questionnaire to really tap into, what your style is, what it is that you want. And we use the hell out of that process because this is her differentiator. And when you have something that different that helps you stand apart, that's important. So that's rule number one. You have to have your differentiator across, very clearly articulated
So,
on.
but wait a minute. But people, you help them figure out their
Exactly.
differentiator.
Yeah, I have a framework for that. I developed a 6-step unique framework, and that helps me. I think one of the designers that I worked with, she said, "Well, your questionnaire, it's a project brief, is like a therapy session because it helps you like peel the onion or like peel the covers, the layers, and helps you get, oh, that's my differentiator." Because all of my calls with my clients start with like, well, like there's nothing really different. Or they say something like, well, I create beautiful and functional spaces. We all do. We
I
all
know. I hate that sentence.
Yeah, but I helped. I was like, there's more. There's more. Just give me a chance. There's more. Let go through the questionnaire, and it helps you. Oh, this is it. Sometimes it is your style. You create bold. The website that I just launched for Ray Interiors. They're the creator of the bold styles with very patterns and colors and everything. And yeah, we arrived at that through the questionnaire. So
It's
that's
amazing.
number one. So that's uh, the differentiator. And another thing, one last thing that I'll mention, social proof. Social proof is absolutely critical. It's all about building trust. Social proof helps you build trust on your website. And it's tied to the idea that people are more likely to trust and follow what other people's actions. So having a customer testimonial, having badges of, accreditation and associations that you belong to, or features. Features is probably the most common one in interior design websites. The feature like Elle Decor, Architectural Digest. When you see those highly recognizable badges, people are
Yes.
more eager to trust that. But customer testimonials, I would say, and features and years in business, that's another social proof.
Oh,
That
yeah.
these
Years
are
in
little
business.
kind of tips to really build credibility, give credibility to your website, and showcase that trust. Make it easier for people to trust you because people trust. When you have trust, it's easier to do business with people.
It's the place you got to brag about yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Toot your own horn. Absolutely.
That's where you do it, on your website. You want
You
to be
have
like, hire me because this is me. This is my
exactly.
business. This is my process. This is my style, and I'm perfect for you. So it's
Exactly.
basically you get them to create the words that say that.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's like the backup proof for everything that you do.
Yeah, it's the starting point, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Did we hit all our points?
I feel like we did. We talked about call to action. We talked about social proof. We talked about having a clear differentiator, knowing your audience. That's where you start with. That's
Yes.
that's where it all begins. And yeah, and I think like one last thing that I'll leave you with is don't copy what others are doing.
I
Like do
know.
something so different because I do these audits for people and I was like, okay, been there, done that, seen that. And it's like I get so excited when I see interior design websites that are so different and it's recognizable. Like we were just talking before we went live. You said, "Oh my God, I have 100 tabs open." So do your clients. They have 100 tabs open. They're not going to remember yours if it's kind of looks the same, kind of sounds the same. So be that one interior designer that has something different, whether it's a differentiator or a really strong social proof or another element of your website.
I love it. All right. And what are you offering today? And where do they go to find you?
Yeah, so go to contentvertical.com/contact to get in touch with me or follow me on Instagram and LinkedIn. I go by Masha.copywriter on Instagram. And I think the same thing on LinkedIn because I offer a ton of advice there. I share like my entire, life there in terms of business and free tips and strategies to kind of make your website truly strong and connect and resonate with your ideal audience.
Love it. Thank you, Masha.
Of course, my pleasure.
So everybody go click the link and fill out the form and get your connection with Masha. So when you're not sure the words to use on your website and other places that she also, and I'll give everyone a little hint, she's my copywriter for my blogs also, by the way.
I love it.
And which I love because you have captured my voice, and it didn't take you long because you really did your research. And I think that's what is the difference between a really good copywriter and someone who just says, this is the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
The research is what makes the difference, and someone experienced.
Because you get to know the client. You, in my case, you get to know the client first, their brand voice, and then I get to know the audience. And happily, I've been in your group, so I kind of, I get a feel for what people want to know. So that's very important. That's why that first step is always understanding and getting to know your audience.
Absolutely. All right, everyone. So Masha will be live with me once a month. If you have questions about the words you should be using, the copy writing for your websites and other things, please put a comment below, because that'll help us determine what you guys need to learn, what you want to learn, and we can provide that for you. All right. Thank you, Masha.
Thanks so much, Nancy. Thanks for that opportunity.
And hopefully everyone's going to go check out Content Vertical /contact, fill out the form, and get in touch with Masha. We'll see you next time. Bye, everyone.